The real stars of the show have really been the community members, right? So this is our compilation of community members, what we like to call our guest investors on the show, and the lessons that they've shared.
I bought a property. It was being rehabbed. The turnkey provider that sold it to me, they said, hey, don't worry, 2 weeks left. That's all. Turns out they just left it exactly where it was. Pretty much no tenants. The place was like code violations, all kinds of horrible, horrible stuff.
My first turnkey property, I owned it for around 10 years. It was not a great experience. It ended up being something I bought to be passive, and it wasn't passive. It ended up being a headache.
Yeah, I found this little house, got it very cheap, needed to be totally gutted. I basically spent about 2.5 years renovating that and got to the end of the 2.5 years and I was sick of it.
We tried managing it ourselves. And let me tell you, I will never, ever do that again. And this was just one property. It was our first tenant, and they were a nightmare.
And there was everything that you could possibly think happened. Right? The guy who left the water on and then got mold and said he had to sue me because there was mold in the house. There's all these stories about things that happen when you're doing these things on your own.
Switching from the fixed mindset to the growth mindset. For us, it's not just knowing about that mindset, it's about doing and applying it. I didn't talk about my failures. We have a lot of failures. All of us do. But it's the most important thing about failing and getting that mindset, the growth mindset, is that it's what you do afterwards.
When my husband passed away and I realized I was going to be single now, my income tax was going to go through the roof. And the kicker is, if you go over a certain threshold of that earned income, they start taxing your Social Security too. So I decided, because the rental house, I could see that one rental house we had was a small tax shelter.
Years ago, I was one of those people, you get to these things and you want to do it, but you stop yourself. I was almost 50. I had been divorced, and I'm also, physically handicapped. Now, looking back, I wish I had done it sooner, and I wouldn't change it for anything, really, because it really turned out great.
I work with really 3 specific teams. One of them obviously being JWB. And the reason why I work with those teams is because they have what's called a vertical line of accountability. What is a vertical line of accountability? They do it all. They find the house, they buy it, they renovate it, they place the tenant, and they manage it.
JWB was a really different approach. It was very goal oriented. Yes, they asked questions about my goals, what I wanted to achieve. It's like partnering with you towards your future success rather than just selling your properties.
I just felt like I had a supportive process throughout my entire journey, from selling my townhouse in Salt Lake to gaining 2 properties with JWB.
I no longer wanted to manage the property myself. JWB had a really good system set up to manage properties and to get a return for their investors. Now, I currently have 8 properties with JWB.
Well, I was 84 when I started investing with JWB. I'm 85 now. We essentially purchased 6 homes within 13 months. So our cash flow improved significantly. We were up close to $5,000 a month in cash flow.
A new JWB rental property, I was analyzing the rent, and if that tenant can pay my taxes, my insurance, my mortgage. So basically, for my second property, I'd be getting a free house and free $150 cash flow.
We worked out a situation where JWB bought 2 of the houses back from me. I paid off all 3 loans and had enough money left over to buy a 4th house with cash. So that leaves me now with 4 paid off homes and money coming in every month.
And then we just had a tenant move out with no warning. They called and said, hey, we're out of the house, which is pretty crazy. And so we had to do a turn on the property. You guys had it turned and back on market in 7 days, which was freaking nuts.
I am now at the position where I could walk away from my normal primary job. My W-2 job does not have me handcuffed.
Providing good housing for people and a great lifestyle for myself. You get back your time, which is the most valuable thing any of us have.
Like I said before, many, many times, and I say it to everyone, and I'll scream it from the rooftops, I cannot think of another way to prepare for retirement than to put your money into a great asset like real estate. You can invest in your 401k, you can put your money in your IRA, your Roth, and all that, but when push comes to shove, I'm collecting cash flow on a monthly basis. I still own all my assets. I'm not selling them to live off of.
It's more than I remember, man. So many
Good
people. Yeah.
When I think about the real stars of the show, our community who continues to show up and who show up as a guest, man, I'm so thankful that you guys are willing to share your story, because it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to share your story. And we share financial stuff, and that's not comfortable for a lot of people, but it's so necessary to help people see that there is this opportunity. So I'm so thankful for all of you. The other thing that sticks out to me is it hasn't been easy for our clients. It hasn't been easy for folks who maybe invested in real estate before becoming JWB clients to give it another shot. We saw a lot of single ladies out there who dealt with a lot of obstacles to being able to invest. People told them they couldn't do it, and maybe divorce and whatnot. We heard a few of those things, and now they're absolutely killing it. And I think about all the obstacles that our folks have had. Many obstacles are, hey, listen, I tried this before, I stubbed my toe, and then you got this whole world that's telling you, see what I told you, you can never do that. That was there's no way you should have tried that. But they gain the confidence in themselves and through here to give it another shot. So I'm so thankful for that. And then the other thing is just outcomes. We had, Leslie and Adam and Zach and Denny and Lee and everybody is talking about what their life is like now. And that's the reason I started this company. It was to be able to have a moment like that I could share in that outcome and give a high five or give a hug or whatever it is. Definitely a hug for Lee. And to be able to celebrate that together. So we get to see that on the regular here. So, that's really what this show is all about.
It really is, man. It really is it's the tacit knowledge exchange, right? Like that thing that each of us has learned and we can share with others has been very much a common theme to what's led to success in my life, is leaning into that, right? Like I think a little bit before we met, maybe a year before we met, I read this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that said, in my walks, every man I meet is in some way my superior, and in that I can learn from him. Mm-hmm. And it was this aha moment of me of just like, man, everybody that I come across has something that they've experienced, that if I can take that thing that they've experienced that I need to experience, and I can save myself kind of like the torture and the lesson and the hardship of it, and just take it to heart and start adding it to my life, things will change for me. And that's really what's happened. And I think that this community has been a giant acceleration for that. That is a great representation of these investor stories, right? Like the one common theme in all of these investor stories is that as we're warming up, they're like, I don't feel like I have anything to share, right? Like every single person that hasn't done this before, this if you've been on the show with me, right? Like you show up and you're like, I don't know if my thing will do it, but I'll do it because I'm trying to challenge myself, or you guys are cool, or I want to be your friend, whatever. And there's always something that comes from these individual journeys that we then take, that we then, continue to iterate upon, that helps somebody else. So I see these every time somebody from our community decides to share their investor journey. It's this like beautiful act of service that we get to share with everybody else. So super, super grateful for that.